What if the difference between living paycheck to paycheck and actually living your dream life comes down to just 10 minutes of planning? Most people think they need a finance degree or thousands in savings to get started, but that's simply not true. The most successful people aren't necessarily the highest earners. They're the ones who know exactly where their money goes and how to make it work toward their biggest goals. Yet 78% of people live paycheck to paycheck, not because they don't earn enough, but because they've never learned this simple system. In the next 10 minutes, you're going to discover the exact 4-step framework that can completely change your financial future. We'll cover how to understand your true cash flow, align your spending with your deepest values, and make smart trade-offs that actually move you closer to the life you want. Whether that's buying your dream home, starting your own business, or retiring years earlier than you ever thought possible. By the end of this video, you'll have a clear roadmap that you can implement today. But here's the thing. One of these steps involves a mindset shift that most financial advisors never talk about, and it's the secret that separates those who achieve their dreams from those who just keep wishing for them. Let's dive into step 1 first. Let's talk about the one number that controls everything in your financial life: your personal cash flow. This isn't just about how much you earn. Cash flow is your total income minus your fundamental costs, and it's the true measure of your financial power. Here's how this works in practice. Meet Sarah. She earns $5,700 every month. Not bad, right? But here's where most people get it wrong. Sarah's fundamental costs, that's rent, utilities, groceries, insurance, minimum debt payments, and transportation, total $2,900 per month. This leaves her with a margin of $2,800. Now here's the golden rule that financial institutions use, but never tell you. Your fundamental costs should never exceed 50 to 60% of your take-home pay. Sarah's sitting pretty at about 51%, which means she's in the sweet spot. But here's what's fascinating. That $2,800 margin, that's not just leftover money. That's your freedom fund. That's what determines whether you'll be stuck in the same place 5 years from now or living the life you actually want. Most people blow through this margin without thinking, then wonder why they can't afford their dreams. The successful ones? They treat this margin like their most valuable asset, which brings us to step 2. This is where dreams stop being dreams and start becoming plans. Instead of randomly spending that margin, you're going to allocate every dollar based on your current lifestyle and your 5 to 10-year vision. Let's continue with Sarah's story. Sarah has 3 major goals. First, she wants to buy a home with a garden, something worth around $500,000. For this, she'll need $120,000 for the down payment and closing costs. Second, she wants to quit her corporate job in 2 years to pursue her passion for photography, which means she needs a substantial cash buffer. And third, she dreams of early retirement, wanting $50,000 per year to live comfortably. Using the 4% withdrawal rule, that's the safe amount you can take from investments annually without running out. Sarah needs $1.25 million invested to generate that $50,000 yearly. Here's where most people fail. They keep these as vague wishes. Sarah's turning them into mathematical realities. She knows exactly what each dream costs and when she wants to achieve it. The magic happens when you stop spending unconsciously and start spending with intention. Every purchase either moves you toward your goals or away from them. There's no neutral. Now comes the reality check. Step 3 is where we organize the finances to see what's actually possible. Let's run Sarah's numbers. For the house, she needs $120,000 in 5 years. That breaks down to $2,000 per month from her $2,800 margin, leaving just $800 for her other goals. But wait, for quitting her job in 2 years, she needs $35,000 in cash. That's $1,458 per month, which immediately conflicts with her house savings. And here's the brutal truth about early retirement. To reach $1.25 million, assuming an 8% annual return, she'd need to invest $2,300 per month for 20 years, or $3,300 per month for 15 years. Both amounts exceed her entire margin. This is the moment of truth that separates dreamers from achievers. Most people would get overwhelmed and give up, but here's what Sarah did instead. She set up automatic transfers to high-interest savings accounts for her house fund. She researched mortgage options, started monitoring her credit score, and calculated how different income levels would affect her buying power. Most importantly, she accepted that not all goals can happen simultaneously, and that's okay. The key insight? It's better to achieve 2 goals than to fail at 3. This brings us to the final step, understanding opportunity cost, or what economists call the most powerful concept in personal finance. Every financial decision has an opportunity cost, what you give up when you choose one option over another. The secret is knowing when this matters and when it doesn't. For small purchases that represent less than 0.01% of your net worth, the opportunity cost is essentially zero. That $5 coffee? If you're worth $50,000, it's negligible. But big purchases, homes, cars, major lifestyle choices, these require serious evaluation. Let's see how Sarah navigated this. She realized that choosing a more expensive home would delay her job transition and retirement by years. So she made a strategic decision. She'd prioritize building her cash buffer first, to quit her corporate job, then focus on the house, and finally shift to aggressive retirement investing. Here's a real-world example of opportunity cost in action. Sarah could rent a nice apartment for $2,000 per month and invest the difference, potentially building wealth faster through the stock market. But homeownership was emotionally important to her, so she chose the house despite the mathematical trade-off. She also sold her car and used public transportation for 2 years. This freed up $600 monthly that accelerated her emergency fund, allowing her to quit her job 6 months earlier than planned. The magic question that changed everything for Sarah. If I make this purchase, what am I giving up in terms of my bigger goals? This single question transformed her from an impulsive spender into a strategic wealth builder. Here's what we've covered in just 10 minutes. Understanding your true cash flow gives you power, purpose-based spending turns dreams into plans, organizing your finances reveals what's possible, and smart trade-offs make the impossible achievable. The people living their dream lives aren't necessarily earning more than you. They're just more intentional about where their money goes. They've cracked the code on making every dollar work toward their vision of happiness. Your homework is simple. Calculate your cash flow margin. Write down your 3 biggest financial goals with specific dollar amounts and timelines, and ask yourself what you're willing to trade off to make them happen. The path to your dream life starts with these 4 steps. The question is, are you ready to take the first one?